Workshop to order, and we'll move on down to section 2, which will be approval of the agenda. 2.1, changes to agenda and approval of agenda. Section 3, we have no recognitions. Section 4, we have no visitors. Section 5, administrative personnel appointments, we have none. Section 6 will be public comment. 6.1, members of the public desiring to address the school board. Forum MIS 5241, public input and/or discussion of agenda items.
May I ask a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
sir.
Do we know if we have any of those at this point?
As of right now, no, sir.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Section 7 is committee and staff report. 7.1 is in-county travel, and 7.2 is out-of-county travel. So we'll move down to section 8 will be the consent agenda. 8.1 will be approval of the consent agenda. 8.2, approval of the minutes of the workshop meeting of August 5th, 2021. Minutes of the regular meeting of August 9th, 2021. 8.3, appropriation of District 2 School Board member capital outlay funds to Lewis School for Media Center furniture in the amount of $2,886.52, presented by Ms. Marty Gardner. And then 8.4, appropriation of District 3 School Board member capital outlay funds to Lewis School for Media Center furniture in the amount of $2,886.52, presented by Ms. Linda Vanchek. And then 8.5, appropriation of District 4 School Board member capital outlay funds to Bob Sykes Elementary School for one smart board in the amount of $3,649.70, presented by myself. And then 8.6, appropriation of District 5 School Board member capital outlay funds to Lewis School for electronic message center in the amount of $18,259, presented by Dr. Diane Kelly. And it looks like Lewis has a lot of cool things going on over
Yeah,
there.
they won this time.
Yeah.
They really did.
They did. And let's see, 8.7, invoices to be approved for payment. 8.8, school donations. 8.9, payroll warrant register and accounts payable warrant register for July 2021, totaling $12,203,739.62. 8.10, request to increase purchase order request to increase purchase order 220000501 issued to the Flooring Authority. 8.11, tag on bid purchase over $25,000, Playmore Recreational Products and Services. 8.12, service agreement number 22-55, Stephen Bear Jr. 8.13, service agreement number 22-56, Lori Hagel. 8.14, appointment of citizen member to a vacant position on the Sales Surtax Citizens Oversight Committee. And Mr. Horton, who's the person that we are going to be?
The name is
Miss Susan Holling.
Okay.
That's in my area.
Okay. And then 8.15, agreement between Gates Aerospace Institute, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida. 8.16, vehicle lease agreement between the School District of Okaloosa County and the SHU Educational Foundation in support of after-school STEM education activities. 8.17, sale and disposal of surplus property. 8.18, agreement for exclusive use of optical fiber between Okaloosa County, Florida and the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida. 8.19, advancing career and technical education through entrepreneurship, education and training grant application fiscal year 2021 through 2022. 8.20, course adoptions for Destin High School for the 2021-2022 school year. And 8.21, course adoptions for Niceville High School for the 2021 through 2022 school year. Section 9 will be superintendent's human resource recommendations. 9.1 and 9.2 will be informational only on Monday. 9.1 is employees on administrative leave. And 9.2 is deferred retirement option program, the DROP. 9.3, out of field report for the 2021 through 2022 school year. 9.4, cleared certification requirements and issuance of contracts for the 2021 through 2022 school year. 9.5, employment separations. 9.6, personnel recommendations. 9.7, employee transfers. 9.8, employee reinstatement. 9.9, employee suspension. And 9.10, employee termination. Section 10 will be discussion agenda, and at this time, no items have been moved. 11 is construction program owners representatives business, and section 11.1, I'll turn it over to Dr. Kelly.
We have already had our August report and our meeting, so our next one will be the first Monday in September.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And 11.2 is the authorization for professional services agreement from Faithful and Gold for price validation for program number 6, task order number 15, gymnasium floor replacement at Crestview High School, Davidson Middle School, and Lewis School. Section 12, information technology seat management contract. We have no items there. Section 13, attorney's business, and Mr. McInnes, I'll turn it over to you.
No report this morning.
Thank you. And section 14, superintendent's business. 14.1 is out-of-state student trip request, and 14.2, Mr. Chambers, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant, School Board. First of all, I do want to say I do like the school spirit that we're looking at right now. You all look very dapper. And I do want to give just a little bit of a report, so to speak, on where we are going into week 2 of school. And as you know, the first week of school is always a very busy time. It's also a very exciting time. I am happy to say that a lot of our schools are now getting even further into their routines, their processes. So car rider lines are speeding up, cafeteria lines are speeding up as well. So just still encourage folks to continue to be patient as schools get those routines and processes in place. Do want to give just a little bit of an update also. The curriculum department, professional development is up and going. And as you know, it's a professional development is not something that we just say, this is what we're going to do. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of thought, data that's looked at in order to create professional development. This Lightborn Department's doing a very good job. As you know, we are in that in-between year with the old standards versus the new standards. So many of our teachers, most of our teachers will be in the teaching to the current standards while learning the new standards as well. And we have new textbooks additionally, and these new textbooks are written towards the new standards. So the curriculum department has done a great job. They've created a bridge document so teachers know specifically what to teach to the to the old standards, which are the ones currently in place, so we can make certain that we are covering what needs to be covered. So I just appreciate that. That is a very in-depth task. So just appreciate that work. Additionally, there will be some testing that will start this week with iReady. And as you know, that's a very important assessment, especially when you look at students who may have experienced learning loss. And we're talking about how do we accelerate that learning. So iReady is a test that helps teachers pinpoint specifically where kids are, and then they can tailor instruction to meet those needs, whether it's whole group, small group, or one-on-one. So that testing will be starting here very shortly. Also within the curriculum department, as you know, and we appreciate because you approved the purchase of Canvas. And Canvas is a learning, basically a learning management platform where teachers can place assignments, where students can get assignments, where communication can go back and forth between students and teachers. And also, it's a mechanism where there's also assessments that are on Canvas that teachers can use with students. So it's a very robust program that we're going into this year. So we're excited about that. And then, of course, all of you who remember those school performance plans, that the schools are hot and heavy in that process right now. So curriculum, as you know, is a busy time right now. However, for the schools, they're doing a good job with these areas. Do want to give you just a little bit of an update also on enrollment. We are at right now 30,444, 30,444, with our FTE projection being 30,363. Now we know that enrollment doesn't equal the exact FTE number. However, we're a little up right now. We do know that normally, if history is any indication, once Labor Day gets here, we do get a slight bump as well. So Mr. Horton and his team will continue to monitor that. Okaloosa Online, as you know, we do not have My School Online this year, and that is not a state-approved program. But we do have Okaloosa Online. Our Okaloosa Online numbers are up a little bit this year. We're at about 329 in Okaloosa Online, where, just for a little past comparison, in 2019 we had 263 in Okaloosa Online, and in 2020 we had 228 in Okaloosa Online, and again this year 329.
I have a question about the online. They get the same FTE equivalency, right, as,
So in terms of funding, Okaloosa Online is a completion model, and that funding comes in arrears. So
Okay.
next summer, that's when that is calculated, and then those FTE dollars in essence generate to the school district.
so they're not part of the 30,444?
They are not.
They're not, okay. And so we don't really look at them for funding, because like you said, so we should have gotten money from last year's students who've completed, right?
Julie?
Good morning.
Good morning. The IT information systems, or they did do a projection for Okaloosa Online, and those projected funding is what we're using to fund the Okaloosa Online program. We won't know the true FTE until later, and then that's where sometimes you'll have some adjustments, like we'll have a prior year adjustment, then that may come in. But we're hoping that all these children will complete and will earn the whole FTE.
And Ms. Perry, those adjustments would be typical because we might even do that with regular schools.
Yes, yes.
So they can carry over, but we still don't get the funding until they totally finish.
Well, we get the funding ahead because it's projected.
Okay.
Okay, so we are receiving the funding. Then every year, they do what they call a prior period adjustment. They're gonna go back and they're gonna look at, see what we actually earned. Because they're adjusting us through the year. They're gonna adjust us after the October FTE. And they're gonna adjust us after the February FTE. So then what happens is, like Mr. Chambers said, you don't know the full FTE for Okaloosa Online or any of the online programs until the summer's done. At that point, then the next year, they may have a prior period adjustment, but we have one every year. And that's something that we count on, and we use our FTE reserves to cover. We always reserve some money.
So does it go in the current budget cycle, or does it, okay, great, thank you.
It does.
I might add to that, as someone who started that program under the direction of Dr. Fuller, that it was begun as a service model. So it really wasn't begun to be equivalent funding, but over the years we were able to make that whole as we experimented with our model and tried to get better at predicting and understanding that we were completion model rather than like the traditional model.
Yes, yes, yes. They earn FTE based on completing rather than being
In
in
the class. That's
October
right.
and February.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chambers, I have a question regarding the enrollment numbers. Does that include the charter schools too?
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
All right. I'm going to shift over to a little bit of a COVID update. And as you know, we've established a COVID dashboard on the website, and we are placing our positive numbers in those areas. As you know, many districts across the state are putting up COVID dashboards, and some districts across the state are not putting up COVID dashboards. I think we've always taken the route of we're going to be transparent as we go through this process. So what you will see, right now we're doing it daily. Starting next week, we will post weekly. Okay, so for the first 2 weeks of school, we're doing it in essence daily right now. But what you'll see on there will be student positivity rates, and then you'll also see employee positivity rates. Right now, on our COVID dashboard, in and let me back up, this information is generated from the Department of Health's information. So we do not do this ourselves. That information comes to us. We pull off those numbers from the spreadsheets that are sent to us from the Department of Health, okay? So right now, through August 18th, we have 188 students across the district who are COVID positive. And that right now, just again, not flavoring this either way, just very factual information, that's 0.6% So right now, in essence, 99.4% of our students are not testing positive for COVID. Now, we know as time goes on that percentage is going to lower. So we understand that. Also, right now, we have 31 staff that have been reported positive from the Department of Health.
Now, are these numbers actually from the beginning of the school year, or is this just a rolling number?
So these right now are rolling numbers. So like, for example, today we'll get a certain number of positive cases. Tomorrow we'll get a certain number of positive cases. So we're taking them as they come in. But we did start with that first day of school, and we also understand that in the first week, some of those positive cases potentially obviously occurred before we even started school. However, first week we started the numbers, and we'll continue going forward. One thing I want to be very clear about as well, because parents have asked questions, community folks have asked questions, where we put the total number of positives at a particular school based on the Department of Health's information that they give us. So let's just say that number is 5. But we know that potentially a school may have 12, because right now there's home tests, there's different types of tests. What we are reporting right now is Department of Health numbers that we know is actual, that's verifiable. But if we get a home test, this is important, if we get a home test, we still act on a home test positive. So we're not leaving folks that are positive in the schools. We're still acting on that. We're still contact tracing on that as well. Yesterday, we talked with our principals. So we are making a little bit of an adjustment to our COVID protocols, and I know we've shared that, but I want to share that with the board. I also want to share that with folks who may be listening as well. Today at 5 o'clock, we will put out these adjustments to our COVID protocols, to our families, to schools as well. So first of all, I do want to share that we are temporarily suspending visitors right now in cafeterias. And what we've asked schools to do, which many had already done, is continuing to look at how we can space out as much as possible, to the extent feasible, in cafeterias. So many have already done that. Some are going back and saying, hey, how can we maybe space out just a little bit more? So we want to be mindful there. Also, I do want it to be known that we are still allowing parents, visitors to come into the school for normal school business operations. Families still have the ability to have face-to-face parent conferences. Some may want to do Zoom, and that's fine as well. Additionally, we are still allowing visitors on campus for official school business, and principals know the type of folks that come to the school in terms of visitors, so they'll be making a lot of those calls. Additionally, essential volunteers are still allowed to come into the schools. Principals are determining who those essential volunteers are, because as all of you know, what one school does in terms of volunteers might be different at others. So principals are being very mindful of that. Additionally, mentors are still able to come in schools. So those are some of the questions that have been posed to me, so I wanted to make sure that you all also had that information. We are temporarily suspending field trips, and we're talking about during the day. So I don't want to be confused with after-school activities or sports. Those are still going on, but during the day, we're temporarily suspending field trips. We're temporarily suspending large group gatherings that occur during the school day. So if you can imagine pep rallies right now, or full grade level orientation meetings. So principals are being creative in how they do that. So So we're temporarily suspending those,
Now, you said that was indoor?
indoor.
Indoor, okay.
Correct. Also, we've talked to principals, and a lot of them have already been doing this anyway, but just being very mindful of the social distancing, recognizing the 6 feet. So the example would be like we already talked about with the cafeteria. So they're going back in and reevaluating their cafeterias, hallway patterns, looking at that, where we can space out to the extent possible in classrooms, but we're not asking teachers right now to remove desks and tables like we did last year. However, some are still able to space out even a little bit more, so they're just being mindful there. And then we've asked all of our schools just to reiterate to families that if you're not feeling well, stay home. And I think all of us can be mindful of that. And then 2 other proactive things that we're doing is we're establishing vaccination clinics in our schools. And the first rounds of that will start in September, the week of September 20th. So we'll have vaccination sites at our secondary schools. So those are being established right now with our Student Services Department. And that will be for students who choose to, where parents choose to have their students vaccinated. There's a parent consent form that they would fill out. That'll be established at the school. And then employees also have the ability to get vaccinated. And of course, this is optional for those folks who would like to do so. And then we're working right now with the health department on tests. Right now, many folks are having difficulty getting a test if they feel as though they may have some symptoms or they want to just double check and they go to certain places where they went in the past to get a test. They're having difficulty getting tests. So again, we want to be proactive where we can help our employees because, as you know, an asymptomatic close contact during days 5 through 7 have the ability to get a test. If negative, they can come back on day 8. Well, right now, we have folks who might be driving to different counties or even across a state line to try to get a test. So we're working with the health department who has shared with us that they've gotten some tests for us that we will be able to have in the district to help establish testing, and obviously not our employees. There would be nurses / the Aviana staff that would do that for us. So I think that is important because one, we want those who are healthy at school, whether it's working or whether it be students. So if we can help our people, I think that's a good thing. So that's a COVID update.
So I do have a question regarding one of your words in there, and that's temporary. So what's the timeline on temporary?
So we've shared with our principals, so we're going to look at this through the month of August. So we're going to get into September, reassess where we are. If it's similar to where we are right now, we'll continue these protocols going forward. So right now, I'd say they're indefinite, but they are not for perpetuity. So we will continue to look at this with the data as we move forward. And this is consistent with what I shared in the message at the very beginning of this is we're going to continue to be flexible as we go through this process. And if we need to make adjustments, we will.
Dr. White?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Just a couple of things. First of all, I appreciate very much the superintendent talking with the school principals, and that these ideas and suggestions came from those folks that are in the trenches every day dealing with all these kinds of issues. And the second thing I would say is that because certainly this impacts all of us, and I know that we're all attentive to what's going on in other surrounding districts, while these new procedures are a little more restrictive, they certainly are not nearly as restrictive as what we see occurring in other school districts. So I just appreciate your efforts on this, Mr. Chambers, and I'll know that you'll do everything you can to get us back to normal as soon as possible. But that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. White. Mr. Chairman?
All right. Last update, I just want to share a little bit about capital. And as you know, you approved the capital budget, which we absolutely appreciate. And just a few things that to me are exciting, which now it allows us to continue that one-to-one devices. So at the elementary level, as you know, we got to one-to-one last year, but as new students come, it gives us the ability to purchase some additional iPads or Chromebooks. So at the elementary level, one-to-one, to me, that's an exciting time. But things, air conditioning, resurfacing, lighting, band instrument replacement, student furniture replacement, bus replacement. So again, these are things that we weren't necessarily able to do in the past, and now we're able to do it. So just wanted to share that information with you. Also, with the sales tax update, you should see a GMP come in before you soon, and probably in the October timeframe. But that's just as a reminder, those are those cafetoriums, the multi-purpose rooms, as well as some classroom additions. So when that starts, to me, that's going to be even more exciting to see as we move forward into the future. And then just lastly, our safety projects, they're still underway. So we're still on task to be done by next summer. So again, a lot of great things that are happening. Like we talked to our schools about, this is an interesting time just in the country in general. But one of the things that we have to continue to do is keep our attention also on educating kids, running a school district, and being the A+ school district that we are, and always keeping safety as the forefront. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chambers. All right, so now we'll move down to section 15.1, and this is board members' announcements and requests for information. And today I will start with the Honorable Dr. White.
Thank you, Chairman Bryant. Just a couple of things very quickly. Superintendent, I appreciated your remarks about the first week of school, that it's a happy time and a busy time, and I just thought to myself, and I remembered, and lots of overtime.
Yes.
On the part of faculty and principals and parents too, for that matter. And then the only other thing I have, Chairman, is in reference to the COVID dashboard. And I just want to express appreciation to Mr. Horton and his team, and the superintendent and his staff, and for all the folks that put that together. I too have had some inquiries about COVID situations in our schools, and I'm just grateful that I can point families and parents and interested citizens to okaloosaschools.com, and right there very prominently one can see the situation regarding COVID cases in our schools. And I just wanted to point out that that's there, and encourage parents and citizens who have an interest in that matter to go to okaloosaschools.com and see the COVID dashboard for those latest numbers regarding their child's schools, or in those cases where those folks might have an interest. And that's all, Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Dr. White. And the Honorable Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have just a few things to say. Like the superintendent and some of my colleagues, I was out in the schools last week, and it was so exciting to see them back in their seats and back at their desk, and they were excited to be there as well. But I just wanted to give a shout out to those people who are sometimes a little bit more invisible to the opening of schools, and that would be our custodial staff and our grounds people, because the campuses look great. They were clean, and I'm sure that at your direction they did a super extra duty cleaning due to COVID, and we were just all ready for open houses, and they look great. So I don't want those people to feel invisible. They certainly did a very visible job of making our campuses look great. So thank you to them. I wanted to say also, some of you know that this week I was part of the Hope Squad training with Peggy Brockman for about 50 of our teacher advisors of the Hope Squad, and they were there all day, and on top of being the shoulders to the grind that keeps the school district an A+ district, they also have a very strong hand for nurturing those students and having a keen ear out for those students who might have difficulty or have some mental health needs. So it was wonderful to see them all energetic and excited about doing what they do, that extra level of care and concern. And I wanted to add to, you talked about the GMP potentially coming to us. One thing that we've seen several times on our agenda recently has been the Faithful and Good Validation Project, and I wanted to say that I'm very proud of the fact that the public needs to know this is a completely disassociated entity with the school district that verifies and validates that the cost for construction that we are paying are exactly in alignment with what the market has. So to me, for them to validate what we're doing is a very big deal. So I just wanted to emphasize that. And then from Coach Grant Thompson at Niceville, Max Prep has ranked Niceville High School, you may have seen this, as the #1 all-around public school athletic department in the state of Florida and 79th in the nation. So that's pretty good digs right there, #1 in the state of Florida. So congratulations, Coach. And then I'll end with, y'all know I love the calendars because I believe that go-getters are goal setters. So listen to this. We have 18 Fridays left in first semester. And that means 18 Fridays until Christmas break. So plan your Fridays well. That's all I have. Enjoy.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And the Honorable Ms. Garner.
Thank you. Just extend my appreciation to you, Mr. Chambers, your team. I'm sure our parents and our community greatly support how closely you are monitoring these numbers and the principals sitting down and making those necessary adjustments. I think everyone should feel comfortable in the close monitoring of our safety of our students and our employees. And Ms. Evanchek, for your idea for us to wear our high schools, our team shirts or show our support for our high schools that we represent. I'd like to wish our middle school and our high school students a safe and successful season, and go Vikings.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Garner. And the Honorable Ms. Evanchek.
Well, I do have things to say. First of all, I think Okaloosa County Schools just knocked it out of the park, getting started again. Everywhere I went, great attitude, everybody upbeat. It's amazing, and I feel fortunate to be a part of it. Okay, several things. Belated happy birthday to our
I had
chairperson,
that on
Tim.
purpose. I'm sorry.
He had birthday yesterday, and
Thank you.
so we're glad you had another good year and looking forward to this year, Tim. So.
Thank you very much.
Yep. The next thing is come Monday night, our distinguished colleague, Dr. Diane Kelly, is going to be inducted into the Okaloosa County Women's Hall of Fame. She is one of 8 women who has been chosen for this year. And of course, she's being recognized for her exemplary contributions to education in our county. And I'm sure I wouldn't have to go through a resume with Dr. Kelly. Everybody knows the extensive resume she has with public education, and particularly in Okaloosa County schools. So we are so proud of you, and I will be there Monday night with you to cheer you on.
As a former recipient yourself.
Well, that's 2 of us. Thank
And
you.
I'll just say, thank you for that. But honestly, no one who's telling the truth gets anything without a team behind them. So I
Absolutely.
thank everyone who's ever touched me in my career for lifting me up and for being a good influence. I've learned something from each of you. Thank you.
Okay. I want to shout out to one of the schools in my area, is Florosa Elementary. Principal Dawn Massey over there, when I was speaking with her, getting school going, she told me that 18 of her teachers over the summer completed certifications. I don't mean teaching certifications you need to teach, but these are in addition to, and I was talking to Ms. Lightbourne there, and these certifications are in reading, they're in mathematics, and in, you said sensory, multisensory. These are in addition. This is going above and beyond. But 18 out of the some 40 teachers on her faculty this summer completed these. That is quite an accomplishment. And I want to certainly commend those teachers, but also I want to commend Principal Massey, because getting to know her, I know that she really does foster a culture of continuing to grow and to learn at her school for her professionals, so they can all serve students better. And that's quite, I'm sure there may be some others, but I just know of that one, and I really want to commend that. And then finally, it's football time. And yes, it was kind of my idea. I know it doesn't surprise me. I thought we would just show a unified force today by wearing the high school that we represent, the colors and everything. And so, and I know that you were shouting out about your Niceville, but I'm going to have to say, I am with Baker, the only one that has a state championship. So we are defending that. Got to say it, you know. Yep. And so I just want to wish all our teams a safe season. You know, we want to compete, but we want them to be safe. And we also want to make sure that to remind them that they are representing themselves, their school, and our district with their conduct. And we have always had our students be great going out to other places. My Baker team's heading over to Northview, which is up there in Bratt, way up in the corner of our state here. So I hope everybody does well, and I'd like to see, even though Baker has a championship, I'd like to see us all have a championship this year, that bring it all home to Okaloosa. And thank you very much.
All right.
I could add one thing to that. Representing Laurel Hill, we have a basket load of state championships in basketball and
Yes.
volleyball and softball.
Well, we don't want anybody to think we didn't want to do Laurel Hill, but they don't participate in football.
know.
So
The
as we
only
move
one
to
that doesn't.
basketball,
I
we
know.
will
Trust me,
certainly.
there will be Laurel Hill
I
stuff
know.
right
That's
up here at
right. We're gonna
basketball
all-
season.
I might even wear my jacket.
That's right.
It's a good thing, Mr. Bryant, you're sitting between the two.
There you go.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you, Ms. Ivanchek.
Yep.
My final comments are, first of all, go Bulldogs. It's
Yep.
really excited. Had a chance to go out to meet the Bulldogs the other night. The football team, both Davidson and Shoal River, also had their teams out there. So really excited. Just great to see the band playing, the people having a great time. Just a really good feeling out there, and just looking forward to Friday Night Lights. No matter what school we go to
That's
watch,
right.
it's
They're all
going to
fun.
be an exciting time. I would also like to thank Mr. Chambers and his staff, and Dr. Kelly talked about team, and you know the acronym for team is Together Everybody Achieves More, and I just want to say thank you to Mr. Chambers and his staff for looking out for the schools that are kind of having you know, having their challenges right now. I think the substitute issues, teacher issues, things like that have really, you know, put some challenges ahead of our principals out there. But I know at Crestview High School, there was many staff that came from the Central and Northern that went into the schools to help out. To help with substitutes or whatever needed to be done. So I know Dustin, he's sitting out there in the audience. I heard he was out there. Eric, I heard you were there. So, you know, we appreciate all of those folks stepping up and going out and helping these schools out. I'd also like to say thank you to all of our school teams out there. I was at Northwood the other day, and I saw, you know, went to go talk to Dr. Donna. You know, typically we can meet in her office. Her office that day was the lunchroom. So it was interesting to see, you know, the kids in there. But her and her team were all doing things outside of their normal duties. But I'm sure that was going on in all of our schools. But again, thank you, Mr. Chambers, for looking out for our schools and these folks that went out there and helped. We truly do appreciate that. And so we'll move down to section 16 and public comment. This will be the 2-minute version. And before we adjourn, we'll go around the room. Mr. Strong?
Can I just remind you that paras every day are stepping into these classrooms?
Come on up.
Come up and
Yeah.
recognize them.
I just, you know, I've got a lot of calls from paras in the last few days, and I appreciate you recognizing the hard work of all district employees, but paras are stepping in every day, covers these, and they're worried about not getting their jobs done.
Right.
So they're having a tough time too.
Well, and you know, and I appreciate you saying that. I know Dr. Kelly, you know, made mention recognizing everybody,
Absolutely.
and behind the scenes, and paras are those folks that you know. So we do appreciate them.
Yeah, hug them when you see them.
Yeah.
They're struggling.
All right, thank you, Mr. Strong.
But
Dr. Hale,
everyone's gone.
Ms. Lightbourne, Mr. Horton, Ms. Perry. All right, this meeting's adjourned.